Folks, hello and welcome to Talking Crit. No, I haven't gotten my hair fucking cut. Yes, I
Oh,
still got a horrible virtual green screen behind me. That ain't changing. Sorry.
oh, it made your hair look really good.
Yeah, it
It
does,
does look
doesn't it?
good. Yeah, it does.
My
Oh,
hair looks special. It's not special. With me, as always, on Wednesday nights is none other than Bad Mike, occasionally known once a year as Satan. Uh Bottalato.
the Prince of Darkness welcomes you all, and my voice is a little messed up tonight. You'll forgive me because we just got through with North Texas RPG Con for the year, and I talk a lot, and I yell, and I shout, and I sing, and I do whatever, and so yes, my voice is a little hoarse, I'm afraid.
I blame Greg Gillespie for taking you out the extra day.
We did talk a lot on the trip, but I'm soothing my voice right now. Wink, wink.
Wink.
So
All right.
hopefully this will help. But yeah, we had a so we're gonna talk NTRPG Con tonight, and too bad if it's just if you're like, well, I didn't get to go. You
Well,
gotta come, you gotta go. You gotta
you know
go to
what?
this con.
I have empathy, but no fucking sympathy. But and by the way, let's see how this comes. Oh, it's right. It's green. You can't fucking see it. All right. All right. Hold on. Hold on.
Oh no, just turn the great.
Rachel's not sitting behind me. I will turn it off for a moment.
Yeah, she's doing yoga back there. Try not
Yeah.
to do. There you go.
Oh wait, it's still coming up as a fucking green screen, isn't
Okay,
it?
because it's still green. It's still green.
And it's still. Oh my god, the settings are driving me nuts. Hold on. Here we go.
Oh, that is very cool. That
All
looks
right, so
nice.
now that's weird how that happened. All right, so the green screen is working, but this is look at that. If I put it on an angle, you can kind of see
Yeah.
the detail. So Fugly
Very
gave
cool.
me this, and I'll be honest with you, Fugly, when you gave me this, I was like, "Wow, it's a neat coat of arms." And then I got it home, and I opened it up, and I went, "Oh, there's a CD in there, but there's no CD in there because right now it's in my little CD player, which I had to purchase because I didn't have a drive for my Mac. They
Oh
don't,
wow.
so it was like $22. Really am enjoying the music. Good times, and now I got to dig into the added files, including like the adventure and stuff. Didn't realize that Fugly had worked on.
Great.
Fugly did some published work in the Judges Guild days. So
Did not know that. He
I did
doesn't
not
look
know.
that old. He doesn't look that old. I
No, he
didn't think.
doesn't.
No.
So and as an aside, Mike, if the con decides to do music, uh, as like a live music thing, Fugly might have some connections in the Dallas Fort Worth area. For
Interesting.
so, but Fugly himself did a great job on this, and I was giggling with some songs, and uh, honestly, cringing as I heard other classic tunes turned into an RPG fans. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's good stuff. It's fun, and it was a nice surprise because I had no clue. I was clueless. Uh, all right. I'm trying to catch.
Well,
My God, everybody's talking so goddamn fast, and I haven't caught up to you yet. My
everybody's excited. I guess they're excited.
Gary's in
They're,
the room. Gary, great job,
uh,
by the way. I know you heard it. You probably heard it enough, but go fuck yourself. I'm gonna tell you flat
wow.
out.
Holy
This
crap.
this every North Texas
What is
has
that
been
about?
better than the prior one, and it started out like at a 9.5. So you've gone past the
Mm.
Spinal Tap. This one goes to 11. We need a new scale.
Mm.
So
True. I'm not gonna deny that. Um, so yeah. Yeah, we did really good this year. Without getting into the boring numbers, which nobody really cares about.
wait. I care about.
We did
Dude, I
money.
was a crime stack guy. I do numbers.
Well, money wise, it was our best con ever. We did really well. So that says that we'll have the con again in next year, at least next year, if not on and on, because we're starting to build up a little war chest here, and we're starting to, you know, every year. For those who don't know, Doug just financed the con out of his own pocket, so it was a year to year thing. And, just whatever he needed, he just charged it his credit card and paid it off. So Gary and I want to do it a little more professionally, and plus we don't have the money bags that Doug had hanging around his waist. So
Right.
we're trying to find ways to make money. Well, everything did well. The auction did well. Attendance was great. All the sales of the ancillary items did really well. It was just, it just went about as good as you could imagine. And we had a lot of donations. I'm still sorting through donations here. I got boxes. Literally boxes of stuff for donating. Boxes and boxes. And so it's just amazing.
I was talking with you, Mike, when the gamer who was downsizing their collection brought in like 25% of their game collection, which was, I don't know, 6 or 7 large totes. And
that was our buddy Brad's been doing. He's a friend of Jason Braun. That's how I met him. He's been coming to cons for years and years. And yeah, he's a good dude. And yeah, he brought about 7 giant totes and boxes full of stuff to donate. And rather than deal with it, we just laid them out on the table and said, if you want something, bring it up and we'll price it. And we probably made $1,000 just from that. It was amazing. So yeah, we did really well. So that part was fine. The issues we had were very small. I mean, we'll talk as we go day by day. We'll talk about a few of them. And we probably have to bring it up to the staff when we talked to them. The staff did a good job. The hotel was, for the last 2 years, they've been kind of shaky because of COVID.
They were understaffed, and you could sense it in the staff. You talk to them, their smile was forced. They did not look thrilled to be there, and I had to steal toilet paper from my room. In
2020, when COVID hit, we weren't sure if we were gonna have the con there or not, but it turned out that we could. They fired or let go or laid off their entire convention staff because there's no conventions in 2020. No point in paying staff. So they also cut their staff in half because you don't have to clean as many beds. You don't have to worry about washing sheets. I mean, also that they don't have to do that as much when you don't have that many people staying in your hotel. So we had a really reduced staff in 2020, which thought, okay, that makes sense, right? 2020, right. Yeah, everything was messed up. But 2021 came. I got the impression they really didn't hire anybody back. If they did, they didn't hire too many of the same people back because, unfortunately, with almost a full house last year, we had the same issues. Which it's one thing if you have 70 people coming to your con. There's another thing if you have 370 or 470. So it was an issue last year. We heard from a lot of people that were not happy, like as yourself. They were just not getting the kind of attention that a major hotel in a major metropolitan area should be giving to their, the people staying there. And we heard from staff who talked to us anonymously that, yeah, they still haven't hired their convention staff back. And the manager and assistant manager are trying to do everything. And they're just, that's just overwhelming to them, which it would be.
Right.
That's why it's a separate job at the hotel. I mean, it's a wholly separate job. So we had some issues last year. And so we were going to gauge them very carefully and very critically this year to see if they had finally addressed them. And it looks like they had. They did a very good job. The staff was wonderful. No complaints with the actual people staff. I mean, they everything seemed to go very smoothly. We didn't have the kind of complaints about the restaurant we usually have. The bar actually stayed up until 2 without us having to bitch and moan about it. The front office, oh my gosh, the front desk was great. I mean, just everybody.
They were giving you healing potions when you checked in. I refused to drink.
They were.
I was nervous. Also, they had that little dessert thing going the first couple of nights, right before in the lobby, right before the elevator.
Yeah, they did some special giveaways in the lobby of food and drinks and stuff, which is amazing. I mean, and that we didn't even plan that. I don't, unless Gary says otherwise. I think that was just something they did, and that was amazing. They just had. So they really, really made a great comeback this year. Which, if you've been to a lot of conventions. I mean, just going and gaming. I've gamed in some real assholes. Why am I? Wait, hold on. Some real shitholes. Why am I?
Yeah.
I forgot. I forgot what I'm telling language. I've gamed in some real shitholes before, and as long as the games are fun, that's all that matters. And then Gary says they did do it on their own, which I thought. But it makes the nicer the place you're staying, it makes it better. It does improve the experience. Yes, you can still. When we had Red River Con with Matt and Eddie, The hotel was about this far away from being condemned.
Oh shit!
Maybe even a little closer, but we had a great time because it's just fun to be there in game. But yeah, just having the hotel nice, it's just and just having people really responsive. The only thing that I can think of I'm sure Gary and I or Gary will talk to him about this is I don't know what was wrong with the thermostats, but they got to get that shit fixed, man. It was as hot as it was in Texas. So the ballroom, it has this big dividing wall in the center, which it's the same room. It just has a dividing wall. On one
Right.
side, it was Arctic cold. It was like 63 degrees the whole time. I mean, freezing. You had to wear a sweater in there. But if you walked out the door, walked around the corner, and walked in the room right next door, it was moderately warm, 76 degrees. And then remember we did the midnight auction. It was actually, I was sweating at the midnight auction. It was hot at the midnight auction. So they're supposed to, and so it seemed to me it wasn't just one thing. The whole thermostat system was really, and you could turn the thermostats off, you could turn them up, turn them down. Nothing ever changed. And so Gary mentions that they have pledged to fix it next year for sure. So hopefully they will, because that was just weird not being able to adjust anything or fix anything. It was just like I said, just too in summer in Texas for it to be too cold. It's got to be really cold. It's got to be really cold. And it was really freezing. Whoa, what's going on there?
That's my son forgetting what day of the week it is.
Oh, yeah, because Wednesdays. That's a tough one. Hump day.
We've been doing this now for 2 years. Oh no, I sent him a text message. He goes, okay. That's why Dad's not picking up. Yep.
As Gillespie said, I'm from north of the wall. I found it cold. The White Walkers thought it was cold too. It was chilly. So other than that, I really have no faults with anything they did, and they just made a very pleasant experience. They were very. Anytime Gary and I had some kind of issue, which really didn't have a lot, and brought it up, boom, it was taken care of really quickly. So that is always a pleasure when you're dealing with a hotel that deals with stuff really quick. So hopefully this is a precursor to what we're gonna find in the future. And they finished most of the construction on the hotel. We did have the elevator break down one night, but I wasn't on it. I heard somebody got stuck on it.
That was the morning. I guess it was Friday morning. It was after the whiskey tasting when I left my computer bag with my computer and my iPad under a table in the outer area of the bar. And it was Thursday night, Friday morning, because I wake up for the podcaster and videocaster breakfast at 6:30, and I just roll my head to the side and go, where the fuck's my bag? And immediately went, oh my God, I left it under a table. And you get up pretty fast when that hits.
Yeah.
So, and then Rach got up faster than me, and then she came back to the room and went, oh, the elevator's not working. And then I walked down 11 flights of stairs to find Rachel down there before me, because then the elevators were working. But good. They found my bag. They put it behind the check-in counter. Nothing was missing. I mean, listen, it's obviously not New York City, so I thank God and the gods for that, because it would have been a real downer. But I heard that they installed new AC units in all the rooms, and I got to say, mine was. I didn't have to adjust it at all. No. It was perfect.
My room was freezing. Once again, my room was freezing, but the beds are so. Everybody compliments the beds. The beds are really, really nice at the Westin, and so I just cuddled up in all my sheets and blankets every night, and I was able to survive the cold. So. Oh, and Pocket Jack comments, that's Preston. I'm sorry that you were stuck in the room that was 2,000 degrees below zero. I really apologize for that. It was not our fault. It was just a weird broken thermostat thing. So, because we had to move a lot of games out of the room because people were in there and they didn't bring sweaters. So who brought a sweater or a jacket? Nobody thought about that, and it was just freezing. So anyway, we'll let's just go over the week day by day. We'll see what we did and when you came in and what we did. So we really loaded everything up Wednesday morning. Oh, by the way, a lot of people got in Tuesday, which I think is very cool.
Oh,
I always
really? I
think of
had
people
no
getting in
idea.
early. Matt Finch, Skeeter Green, Karen Johnson, a bunch of people were in Tuesday. Levi Combs, and so they were all in there, and that was kind of cool. And so I couldn't come out there because we had too much work to do last minute. But we got up Wednesday morning, loaded up the truck, headed out there, unloaded quickly because everybody helped, which is great. And that also helps to unload early because you get all your stuff fixed up and arranged. You don't have to worry about waiting until the last minute. So we had everything there. And for those who don't know, Wednesday's the pre-con Get It On, which means you can come without even paying. You can just come and hang out and shop or play games or whatever. And there's a bunch of off the book games. There's some schedule games. I mostly just work my booth and talk to people. Of course, you and I had our show Wednesday, which is great because we set up in a corner of the vending hall. And unlike last year seemed like there was a lot of people in there. This year it was really quiet. It was great. We're just off in the corner. And then people just walk by. All these, Alan Hammock walks by. Well, come on over here, Alan. You're going to jump in our show,
Right.
That was kind of cool. Just being able to grab people up off the street, so to speak, and just have them sit down with us and talk to us for like 5-10 minutes. And then, here's the next guy. This guy's walking by. Let's find him and get him to sit down. And I can't even remember who all we had. I know Alan was there. Liz and Mike Stewart were there.
Gary, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to apologize, man.
It crashed our show. Damn you!
It was your venue. You can't crash anything.
Yeah, you weren't really crashing anything, man. No, so that was really fun. I like doing that. I think that's something that's turned to a really fun thing after the last couple of years. Just do that show there, just talk about what's going on and grab people who show up, and that's just really cool. And so that was Wednesday, and so now that we had some weather issues Wednesday because it didn't rain. It did rain really hard for an hour or two, and unfortunately, it turned out to be a big mess because planes were diverted all over Texas, and you guys got diverted too, right? Right, Eric.
We got we're told we're in the air, and I'm already looking at the estimated time of arrival. The estimated time was like, oh wow, 20 minutes early. This is gonna be great. And then the captain gets on. He's like, oh, looks like we're going to be about 35 minutes early. The winds have been great. Weather is good in Dallas. Looks good. And then like we're at no point do we get the prepare for landing announcement, but the plane constantly is banking to the right, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then I'm looking. It's like, oh, apparently we're circling Dallas. Then he gets on the radio and he goes, there's a weather situation in Dallas, but it should pass shortly. We have another 35 minutes of fuel. We'll be good. 35 minutes later, gets on the radio, and I'm already watching on the little computer screen in front of me that it no longer says Dallas for a destination. It now says Austin, Texas. And he's like, we're going to our secondary destination, Austin, Texas. I was like,
yeah.
And ourselves, me and Rach thinks that there's a mass transit everywhere, and somehow the two cities are close enough that you can catch like a light rail between the two. Like people commute between Austin and Dallas Fort Worth every morning for work. It's not like that. And then it became, as we landed, people are on their phones going, "Shit, there's no rental cars available here in Austin." They're checking stock, and thankfully we had a really good pilot who was like, "Listen, we've touched down." He goes, "You can walk around the cabin. You can use the restrooms. We're going to give you some water. I am not opening up the door." He goes, "You're not going to disembark because I am trying to do a gas and go. And if we get the fuel, we are going to go." And about 25 minutes later, he goes, "We have the fuel. We're going to go. They need this gate. I'd rather be in the air over Dallas Fort Worth when they opened, because when we took off, it was still closed. It was closed for fucking hours. Because I'd rather be in the air circling than be sitting on the ground going, oh, and now we can go." So we were only 3.5 hours late. I mean, I guess could have been worse. Could have been like somebody's stuck up in, what was it, Kansas? No, thank you. That was Kim. She was up in what, Wichita, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, she came. Yeah, she came from Wisconsin. So and we had people. So some of the stories that Jeff Talanian was diverted to San Antonio, and
okay,
he and a buddy got in a car and drove up. Took him
really,
4 hours. Yep, took 4 hours to drive back up because they didn't. They didn't want to deal with any weights. So they drove up. Chris Fuller, who is a volunteer at our con, helps us out. He got diverted to Houston. He took the offer to take a bus. So he got on a bus and he made it here by about 1 o'clock. Rocky never made it. Rocky
right?
got diverted so many times that
Well, he actually got
unfortunately he had
canceled.
to
He got
cancel.
canceled. I don't even know if he got
Yeah,
diverted. He got
it was
canceled 3 times, and I think that was the
it
final
was
straw.
really sad. Yeah, it really sucked. We didn't get to see Rocky because he kept getting diverted, and finally, oh well, there's too much time. You don't know when you're going to be actually going to get in. So
Yeah. Paul, no, I did not get the footage of the vendor area because when I would remember about it, it was either too late or it was Sunday, and Sunday people were already packing up. And I didn't think it was going to be fair to take a picture of the vendor area where half the tables were already being packed up. And I mean, I fucked up. Okay, and part of it probably was Gary says that you might have been a little intox on Wednesday. Every
could
evening
happen.
I was a little intox, so
Could happen. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, exactly.
Kurt, it was great having you
Oh my gosh.
make your appearance on the show. That was awesome. That was worth the price of admission, I'll be honest with you. And
His
watching
alter
him,
ego of
yeah.
Mr. Krabs was a huge hit.
Oh, at the midnight auction, it was fun.
Yeah,
It was great to meet somebody besides me in
yep.
that damn thing.
Yes, Mr. Krabs was a hit. That was Kurt, whose last remaining shreds of dignity were gone by the end of the midnight auction. No, so yeah, that was a tough day. A lot of people ended up coming in late or ended up getting bounced around. Some people never came in at all. So that really sucked. But then Thursday morning, everything woke up. I mean, the weather was beautiful the whole time there. It may have rained a little bit every once in a while, but it was really beautiful. The weather was a little warm, but it wasn't too bad. It was perfect for Texas.
Oh my God, for Texas, that was amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've been there in triple digits in June, and I had a cab driver who was a Brooklynite our first year tell us, "What the hell are you doing in Texas in June?" He goes, "Next week I'm flying back to Brooklyn to spend my summer in New York driving cabs. I won't be out here."
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually miserable, but it was not. It was nice, and so we had we also had the food trucks start rolling in, and we had some really good food trucks. We had a brunch truck that did really well. I didn't get the food trucks as much as I wanted to. I went a couple of times, but I was just too busy. But the food trucks were great. They worked out really good because there's no place to eat around there, which really stinks. You
don't count Denny's?
No, I don't. I didn't go to Denny's. I did not go to Denny's. No, I didn't. I didn't want to go there. So yeah, the food trucks are great. There are places to eat nearby. You just have to take a car there. So you have to get a Lyft or an Uber or something. So it worked out good with the food trucks. And we'll have more food trucks next year. We'll probably have a different kind of variety. It's fun to pick out different trucks to see. The food trucks did really good too, from what I understand. So we'll definitely have food trucks again.
The brunch truck was amazing. The Tex-Mex was extremely good, but the brunch truck was slamming.
Yeah, brunch truck they did a great job. So we had the food truck. So we did the food truck. So Thursday was everybody kind of gets there and hangs out. We had a lot of games on Thursday. I went to the special guest luncheon, which was fun. What did you end up doing Thursday? I can't remember.
Thursday, I think I spent the day socializing, and is that the day that I went out? Our first barbecue trip was with Glenn and our fellow Long Islander who went out to Heart 8, and I learned over past years when you go to these Texas barbecue places and you order by, I don't know, the quarter pound, the half pound, it's great if you're local and you can take the leftovers home with you. But when you're not local and leftovers get thrown out, We ordered the sandwiches this time, and they give you the right amount of meat for your sandwich plus a little bit extra, and it
Yeah.
was portion controlled. I didn't feel like I needed to go home. Oh, sorry, go back to the hotel and hibernate for 16 hours just to let the meat process. So great, great food. I mean, and the hotel had
Good.
good food. That I was
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised this year. Their menu, I don't know if it changed much, but the quality of the food was a step up from prior years. I don't know. I guess maybe they
No,
are.
yeah.
Well,
Well, I think a lot of it might be staff issues also. You know,
yeah,
a lot of that was probably staff issues also because when you don't have enough people to cook or to wait the tables, yeah, that's what you get. You get issues with that too. So I think a lot of that was the fact they were just well staffed. They had enough people to
yes,
cook and handle stuff, and the food got to you in a timely manner. That way, you didn't have to wait or anything. It's I think the restaurant's a little pricey, but it is what it is. It's the restaurant at the hotel, so it's gonna be
yeah.
you either
The
eat there or you
food,
don't want to eat there.
the,
It's
the
gonna be
pizza. Coming from a New York snob, the pizza was surprisingly good. Uh, yes, we were doing the whiskey tasting on Thursday. Oh my god, I got to say, having two cameras worked out better than I expected. So
yeah, it did. The whiskey taste was Thursday night. That was really fun. Chris had it set up really well for us. It felt like it was really professional the way he said, it's all set up. And um, we had a full house of whiskey tasting, man. We had like everybody that you can imagine was there to taste whiskey.
oh god,
And it was, man, I couldn't, my whiskey tasting prowess is not that great because one of my favorite whiskeys, Basil Hayden, was in there, and I don't think I knew which one it was. I think I was just kind of guessing. But other than that, it was fun. We had a good time at the whiskey tasting.
so
Um,
Gary says the food and the restaurant was the same menu with the new chef. All right, well, all
well,
right,
the new chef did a great job. He
yeah,
was really good. I was really pleased with that. So Thursday we did, and then really we got that. I mean, the con we just started rolling, never stopped. And one of the things that I take from the con is we had a lot of people that just kept coming up to us all the time saying, "Man, I'm having the best time," or "You guys
yes,
are doing a great job," or "Everything's just working out fine." I think a lot of it was there's a lot of people that when they saw games fill up, they're like, "Oh man, I don't know if I want to go, or I'm not going to like it." But you got to remember, every con like this, people are not going to come, and they're going to have an open seat. And heard lots of people. I was talking to one guy. He was like going, "Yeah, I wanted to get a place in Jeff Tillanian's game, but it was full." But then the last moment, somebody didn't show up. That's how it usually is.
hmm
There's very rarely do you have a case where the game is every game is full and you can't get anything. It just doesn't work like that. So if you're patient and you wait, look around and you wait, you can usually find a space, even if the games are normally pretty full.
yeah. I
And
mean, honestly, I did a lot of the seminars this year because there were some
Mhm.
interesting ones, and
Yeah.
it was like Friday morning the podcast and vidcast hangout, which by the way, after getting totally sloshed on Thursday, was painful to get up for and be at. But Lou did a great thing by organizing that. It really
He
was.
did. He did. He did a good job. And so yeah, that was the podcaster, that was Friday morning, right? Friday, yeah,
Right.
Friday
It's
morning.
Friday morning.
That well, I made myself get up early, even though I got to sleep that late that before, because I kept picturing poor lonely Lou there at the table by himself, nobody there, and so I made it my point to get down there. And I get down there, it's two full tables of people.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. Everybody was there. I'm like, okay, well, never mind. Everybody came here. This is great. This looks awesome. So
I,
yeah, I was
I
worried
would
at first, and I was like, oh well, never mind. Well, what
I
am I
would I
worried
would
about?
recommend for next year, maybe Lou does it at like 8 a.m. Not everybody is an early riser,
Mm-hmm.
and 7 is tough after a whiskey tasting. Oh my god!
Yes. Anyway, that was fun, and then that was a really fun little kind of just meeting of the minds. All the people, and I guess it looked like Lou taped it, so hopefully Lou will
Yes,
play it at some point. It was just a really interesting little get together of everybody that does a show on a voice show, and there was a lot of good information there. I was really pleased. I think it went really well. So That was. I'll tell you one thing we did different this year. We don't usually have is we had a lot of seminars. I don't know what you want to call. I don't know if you really call them seminars, but just get together type things. We had there was one about IP law that
That was
Alex
good.
came a referee with. I think Steve Marsh popped in too.
Right, because Matt had a game.
Yep. And there was one about writing adventures that Ben Burns did. There was a small press seminar that Zach and Skeeter always do. I don't know if they had anybody else there too.
No, it was two of them. They were pisses. To quote my favorite retired Boston cop, they were pisses. And it was informative.
It's hot in here, man. I got to turn the AC on. Woo!
That's okay.
It's back to 100 degrees. 100 degrees, baby. So, yeah. So, I mean, we usually in the past, we've been very derelict in, scheduling those kind of things because I'm busy. Doug's busy. Look, our policy was, if you want to do it, you do it because we really can't. And it worked out really good. The people spoke and said, yeah, we want to do these things. And so they did it so great. We didn't have to worry about it. And most of them went really good. And so hopefully next year, I'm going to pull back the curtain here. I just got a personal message on Facebook from Greg Gillespie that says, you have to let me do a seminar next year, please. And I'm like,
on what?
What am I going to say? I don't, it doesn't matter. It's Greg Gillespie. He'll do it on something. It'll be awesome.
Write your own barrel maze with these 3 easy steps.
Easy steps to have your own high fell. Follow this. No. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having more of those next year. That's great. We encourage people to. I know that there was some that I didn't even attend or hear about, and somebody said, "Yeah, I went to the seminar." Blah blah blah. I'm like, I didn't even know that was going on, but whatever. So what happened? Friday night was
Friday night was it was Glenn and I with Vince Florio.
Plus, that's right. Yeah, yes.
Plus a 4th chair, again using the laptop and the iPad, giving us an ability
great.
to have
Yes.
it worked awesome. And then we had a 5th chair when Ty sat down for a bit.
Well, that was kind of cool because I kind of forgot that you and Greg, you and Glenn were doing that, and I don't think it was in the lobby. And I said, "Where's Tenkar?" I think, "Oh, he's doing his show." And I looked at my watch. I was like, "Oh crap!" And so I was like, "Well, I'm going to go once again. I'm going to go see what these guys are up to." So I go there, and Vince is there. Vince is there too. So it's you, Glenn, and Vince. I'm like,
"Yep."
And I had a couple of drinky poos. I was feeling good, so I jumped in and was maybe a little tipsy, and it was great. We had a great time, and then Ty popped in, and we threw Ty on, and so it was. I was laughing pretty hard a few times. I mean, it was funny, man. We had a good time.
James Shields was in earlier. The hair popped by a couple of times.
Oh yeah. Ben popped in. Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had a great time.
And as Gary is reminding us, Friday night is when BattleTech got busted.
Yes, they dodged the bullet for many years, but their luck was up this year. So normally, Friday night there's a big giant BattleTech game, and I say BattleTech game. It's a drinking game because everybody brings a big bottle of bourbon. They start playing BattleTech and drinking, and by the end, nobody knows who won or what happened or whatever. It's
doesn't matter.
It's an excuse to get loaded. So technically, for the hotel, you're not supposed to have alcohol in spaces where the alcohol should belong to the hotel. In other words, they don't want you bringing your own alcohol; they want you buying it from the hotel. Right. But if you hide it, you're usually okay. As long as they don't know you're doing it, they're not going to work too hard to bust you. Apparently, somebody, maybe Bill Barsh, I think that was the person who was blamed, was not good enough about hiding his booze, and people said they saw a hotel employee calling on his little phone, and like, the jig is up.
Now, I'm going to make an observation, and this is about the hotel. I believe in 2019, in front of the Trinity Ballroom entrances, they had a mini bar. They had some booze. They had some beer. You could buy bottles.
As Gary says, the janitor busted us.
Yeah,
and it was. I think it was the janitor. You're correct, Gary.
But if you're not going to serve alcohol, as per the hotel, in an area where all your convention guests are, then you can
Yeah,
expect them to bring their fucking own. All right. I mean,
exactly.
actually, last year at the midnight auction, they were selling alcohol in the back of the auction. I think
I
they made
forgot about that. They did. They had a huge setup last year. Yeah.
yeah, and I think they made you had to buy a ticket and then cash a ticket in to the
Right.
bartender. I don't know why the system was like that, but in any case, but I remember in 2019, you actually had a mini bar set up. Get your beer,
Yeah.
get your hard liquor, and honestly, if they were doing that, I could see them complaining about having your own liquor stash 20
Sure.
yards away. But when I got to walk to the other end of the hotel
Sure.
to get a drink to walk it back, I'll be done with my drink before I get back to where I
Yeah.
want to drink it.
Yeah.
So,
That they did make it hard, but the point is, these guys are like the Three Stooges when it comes to hiding their booze. So they get busted. They basically get tossed out of the room. You know, you can't run the game here with all this booze. So they end up going upstairs to the boardroom and having a better time anyway because you're in the boardroom. Boardrooms are awesome. So they had to pick up everything, drag it all upstairs. They end up having a great time anyway because the boardrooms are kick ass. And I think in the future, they probably should just look at gaming in the boardroom because that seems like that's going to be the best best action is just to get that so you don't get busted anymore.
guys, so basically, you just reinforced my point. Okay, they're the license holders, so in the common areas, they have to serve it, but they weren't. All right, they
Yeah,
dropped the ball. They would again. That's a source of money. I like their snack area was only open for what 3 hours in the afternoon, where they were selling stuff for
yeah,
lunchtime. They should have left it open until 6. People would be buying dinner stuff there. It would have been hit, but they rolled it up in the course of like 3 hours. They never had alcohol served in the back. I'm not. These are critiques. These aren't like oh, they did this, they dropped the ball, fuck them. I'm just saying, if they want to make money, they were leaving money on the table.
right. Well, it's the rules, man. They went against the rules. They got busted. So anyway, so they get busted. They get busted. So that was funny. That was Friday night, and I can't remember what else. Most nights I would end up at the bar because there'd be enough people there. But I really paced myself. I would only have one drink a night. I'm getting older, man. I can't stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning and drink all night. I just can't do it. I'm not built that way anymore, guys. And I would stay a decent amount of time, just say hi to a bunch of people, chill out for a while, and then I would head upstairs for a nice, cozy little nap.
Okay.
And so that way I could get up early and go downstairs and make sure everything was set up, blah blah. So then Saturday came around, and I guess that was probably our busiest day, but it seemed like it went smooth like every other day. I had a lot of prep work to do on Saturday because we had the regular auction, the live auction, which is at 4 o'clock, 4 to 6. And then immediately after that, you start prepping for the midnight auction because midnight auction is a production now, man. It's not just showing up a bunch of crap inside a plastic box. There's a whole setup to go along with that. So, did a lot of work making sure the regular auction stuff was. And I'll tell you something about the auction. I don't have the list in front of me. I know Gary has the list. We had some really, really good items, but we only have an hour and a half, and so
Right.
it was funny. It was funny because we had about 30 items, and Jim Kitchen brought another, oh gosh, I don't know, 10, 15 items. I was worried we weren't going to get through everything. He blasted through everything. We had like 15, 20 minutes to spare by the time he got through, which is great. But we've had some suggestions to move the auction up earlier, and I'm going to look at that. I think that might be a possibility next year because you don't want to have to rush through stuff just so you can make sure you get everything. And we probably could have put another dozen items in the auction easily. We had so many donations, and we're just having to skip stuff because we're like, I just don't know if we're going to have time. I didn't know if we're going to have time to have anything, but look, turned out the time was not a factor. We had some amazing items in the auction. We had a Jeff Easley original portrait.
Yeah, well, how much did that go for?
That I don't know. Gary has the numbers there, but I believe that went about for $4,400. It went over $4,000. I know.
Wow.
So that was pretty good. Gary has a bone to pick with Mike on the midnight auction. All right. Why don't you get in line, son?
Oh, I know what it was. You didn't have me dressed up like an '80s rocker. I'm sorry. It wasn't time.
That would have been cool.
It would have been.
I
But
didn't.
you already had somebody coming out in costume. I couldn't steer
Mr. Krabs.
Kurt's thunder.
Oh, his end of the auction speech is unnecessary. That's garbage. Get the F out of here. Get the
Gary,
F out of here.
Now, here, I'm going to say what Mike won't
I want
say.
to hear your on.
All due respect, go fuck yourself. You deserve
thank you.
every bit of praise.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, my work time spouse, my once a week work time.
All right.
Yeah.
It was all well deserved. And no, Kim falling down was not your fault. It was probably mine because I'm the one that started the chant. Okay, so if you can blame Mike for the speech, you can blame me for the chant. All right, so Mike and I work well together, even unplanned. So
why is Jennifer busting our balls tonight? She's absolutely busting our balls. Damn.
Another round of applause for Gary. All right.
Yes. So,
but I'm not
the regular auction week, great. We blew the record. The record was, I believe, 17,000. We had 31,000. Wow. So we absolutely blew the record, just off the map. Thanks to Jim for his help, and he brought some really nice items. Also, he brought some kind of one of the kind items. We had some nice stuff there. We had a DM screen. We had the big giant DM screen that 4th edition issued that everybody wants. It's like $800 in the store. Right. I can't remember what we sold it for. I think we sold it for close to that. We had a few items going in the thousands. We had
Palace. Oh my god!
Yeah,
I bid on every one, and I came close on one. But I was like, rate wouldn't kill me, but I would come home to like a dozen bottles of perfume and be like, all right, I'm paying.
Oh, remember, Gary? We have to pay easily his half of that dragon, that painting. I'm sorry. It was a painting of skeleton. It was an undead painting. You know, Jeff does great skeletons, undead, or dragons. If you do either one of those, you're not going to lose. So this year he did an undead picture. It was great. We had some really, really nice stuff. We had an Elmore print that was signed by him. Some other really good stuff, and a lot of D&D stuff. A Palace of the Vampire Queen that went for quite a bit of money. That was probably one of the last things left out of Doug's personal stuff that's really worth a lot of money. So. Yeah, prior was 17,900. This year was 31,000. So that was great. And so after that was done, we started to prepare for the midnight auction. Now, I haven't heard you tell me about. Did you play in any games this weekend?
Yeah, I played in Zach's.
Advanced. That was okay. That was on Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, advanced super duper 95 player Civilization game.
So so we went ahead. So we prepared for the midnight auction, and the midnight auction it's never the same thing twice, kids. This year was great. They had a riser up, and we had a really nice sound system, so I could be heard. It was a very, very good setup. We had surprises galore. We had all kinds of crap. We had Kurt Gould dressed in a crab outfit show up as Mr. Krabs with absolutely no warning. No one was suspecting this.
Wait, you didn't know?
No, I knew he was going to have a crab suit, but our gig was going to be, the gag was going to be, he was just going to be sitting in front when everybody walked in. But we switched it around because remember last year was facing one side, it was facing the entrance. This year was facing the other side, so that wouldn't have been as funny. And so we thought we'll just have him walk in, and I'll just introduce him, and there'll be no connection, anything. It'd just be a non sequitur, Mr. Krabs, and then he was going to go sit down. And it was so funny. We were behind the stage laughing so hard because that crab costume is ridiculous. And then
I know
we're laughing hard. Robert walks in with his Speedo in the back.
Oh my God.
We start laughing even harder. And we do have a couple pictures of us all sitting there laughing because it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. So, but yeah, the midnight auction was great. This year was a very special midnight auction because for those of you who know, Lloyd Metcalf has been trying to get some work done in his teeth. He has a horrible, horrible set of teeth in his mouth because of things in the past. And he is having to go to a doctor in Costa Rica and get his teeth worked on because The work he needs to have done on his teeth would cost approximately $150,000 to do in the United States. That's how expensive it is. And
Oh, Michael
can you
froze.
hear me? Oh,
No, there we go.
I kicked out for a second.
Yep.
So if he goes to Costa Rica, it's more like 20,000. So he had almost raised half the amount, excuse me, which he needed up front, and he was about $3,000 short. So what we did was we made a point at the mid auction to make that $3,000 for Lloyd, and so we had a very Lloyd centric part of the auction where Lloyd auctioned a ton of his original artwork, some really nice sets of stuff. I mean, just really
amazing
incredible.
deals on Lloyd's work is really good.
I mean, and we're talking. So we basically made the money up. We made the $3,000. And the last 200, David Ray paid, so which was really cool, because his dad Doug really liked Lloyd, and would have helped him out. So David paid the last bit of it, so he made his $3,000, which is awesome. We're going to have another Lloyd centric auction on Facebook in a few weeks on the North Texas RPG Con auction page. All the stuff that Lloyd we couldn't get to, that Lloyd had given me to auction off. So we got more stuff for Lloyd. I was going to say also something I skipped earlier was we also had some stuff from Alan Hammock's personal collection in the regular auction, the live auction, that did pretty well. And I've got a lot more Alan Hammock stuff coming up in the North Texas RPG Con auction page. I had him sign a whole bunch of certificates of authenticity while he was here. So we've got a bunch more of Alan's the stuff he actually owned coming up. So anyway, that was great. And then Satan had some really good bits. One of Satan's bits was to sell souls. I had a sheet of paper, but I don't have it with me. They're packed away somewhere. But I had Satan's he had too many souls. He had to get rid of somebody. So he was going to sell off these souls to other people. So you could own somebody else's soul. Like, for instance, if I had Eric's soul there, I would sell it. And you could end up owning Eric's soul, but I didn't have your soul, Eric. I'm sorry.
It's okay, man. I'm not sure I have one.
But yeah, and so it was funny because it also on the cardstock red piece of paper, it also said why they sold their soul, and that was pretty funny. So yes, you were able to buy Ty Beard's soul, Ben Barsh's soul, Bill Meinhardt's soul, Alex Kamer's soul.
Didn't Ben not have a soul?
No, Ian McCarty didn't have a soul.
Oh, Ian McCarty didn't have a soul.
He's Irish. Well, he's Irish. He doesn't. So that was the only time that it said Satan null and void. Turned out that Ian had no soul because Satan must have forgot he was Irish.
And we also had some Fugly original artwork that was.
We did, and those, up close, those were beautiful. I wish I could have afforded them, Eric. Those I wanted to buy mine. I tried to buy mine, and it went too much. It went too high.
Who bought yours? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but it went too high. I started the bid off at $100, and then the next thing you know, it was like, whoa! I was like,
yeah,
okay.
I got the NASA Craptor, and I got the one of me. And
you won those two. Oh,
I won those two. Yeah, I was like, and with the one for me, it was me and forgive my my language here. It was me and fucking Bill Webb. And it got up to 100, and I was like, "Oh fuck it!" I'm out.
No,
but then Bill looked at me, and he allowed me to get it for 110. I could just imagine.
No, mine went way over that. Gary probably has the final numbers, but I think the one of me is Satan went way over that. So, because 110 wouldn't have stopped me. I think I want to say it got up way above that. So, anyway, so that was great, and we had a, it was just so much fun, and then. As usual, we had the bit where Robert comes out in a Speedo and we're all screaming in fear and helplessness. And I thought we had a pretty good gag this time. I don't even know if I should go into it or not, but it was pretty funny. No. It had to do with a game that had a little tug of war piece of string, where that string ended up, because we couldn't find it. We're looking at the contents of the box and there's no string in there. And then Robert revealed where the string was. And then nobody wanted to buy the game after that. It was weird.
What was that? Butt plug. Oh God.
That was great. That was good.
I feel unclean, but no, it was.
Somebody had to buy the game to get Robert off the stage. So I think we made a couple $100.
You forgot something about Saturday. 3 Castles Award.
Oh yes. So I forgot all. Well, there's two things I want to mention. One was the Three Castles Award, and for the third year in a row went to Ben Burns for his Call of Cthulhu adventure, A Time for Sacrifice. And then we revealed at that point that nope, we're not going to give you an old trophy because you're going to be the first one that gets Diesel's new trophy that comes out next year because he already had the old trophy. So it'd be kind of cool if he had the new one and the old one, which he thought was a good idea too. So yeah, Ben, congratulations to Ben for that. And then we also revealed that we are going to have something called the NTRPG Con Hall of Fame, which is going to be a kind of like a trophy or memorial, and it's going to have names on it from people over the years who helped out the con and went above and beyond the call of duty to make sure the con survived as long as it did. And so our initial 5 names were people that were at the very first con and really had hardly ever missed a con. And so that was obviously the first name on the list was Doug Ray, because without Doug, we wouldn't have the con. And then we also had Tim Kask, Janelle Jaquays, Dennis Sester, and Matt Finch, who were all at the first con, have been to as many cons as they could. And Matt has actually been to every single con. He didn't even miss the COVID years. So, and they were all very instrumental in one way or another in promoting the con and making sure that, we went from just this tiny little con to a huge con. I mean, Matt did so much for us by, running these 20-person games every year of people, and just really getting people excited about Swords and Wizardry and about gaming in general. Janelle did our logos for, I think, a good 8 years. Let me see. No,
longer than that, but yeah.
No, it was year 3 through year 10. So it was
okay. All right. I was thinking
it was 8. Yeah, 8 years she did it.
Too, but all right, yeah.
And then, and they've all of these people have been really good about donating stuff. I know Tim did a bunch of digests for us in the early years, and we were able to sell those digests and make a lot of money. And Dennis Sester has done so much for the con behind the scenes. And he also, every year, he demands we don't pay for anything, that he just comes on his own dime. And we have fought him on this, and he will not back down. So,
he's stubborn.
So Dennis just comes on his own dime, and he's like, super famous, which is amazing. And he's also donated some digest to us over the years too. So it was 5 people that without them the con wouldn't be what it is. And we plan on adding to this, probably add like a name every year, and it could be either an attendee or a special guest or just somebody that's just done a lot for the con. Maybe my name will be on there one day. I don't know. Maybe Gary's. If this con goes on and on forever and ever, you never know. I might be 80 years old receiving my Hall of Fame award. We'll see. But that was something that Doug and I wanted to do for years. And finally he said, you know what? If you want to do it, you just do it. You figure out what to do and you just do it. I don't really care. And of course, then I just procrastinated for 2 or 3 years.
I'm going to make my suggestion. It should be 4 to 5 names a year, and there's a reason for it. Because listen, the con is 400 to 450 people a year, and there are people that listen, like Bill Meinhardt does the grading of every fucking item that comes up and gets bid on, and he does that because he loves the con and he just loves the atmosphere, and that's pure Bill. And if Gary, who deserves to be recognized, gets it, then it's like, well, then Bill doesn't. No, you like he did 5 for the first year. 4 to 5 every year. My God, it'll take you 5 years to get 25 people listed.
Well, I have a certain criteria to go by. We're gonna go in terms of longevity. So next year's inductees will probably come from people who've been since year 2 on, because not every, only 55 people were there in year 1. So we're going to start at year 2, and okay, who has been going since year 2 is this, that, and so we'll probably advance along like that, to year 3, then year 4. But I'm going to keep the number low. I want it to be a very exclusive.
Oh, it will be exclusive. But Robert has a good point. 4 names minimum, or everyone will die before being recognized.
I don't think that's necessarily true, because they're really not all the old people. You would think that, but I got 2 of the oldies out of the way with Dennis and Tim. Apologies to Dennis and Tim for saying that, but those are 2 of our oldest attendees right there. I got them out of the way, and honestly, there's a few more guys like that I really love and will be on there. But I think they have a few years in them, the people I'm thinking of, and I think they'll be able to make it, 2 or 3 more years till we get to people that, okay, this guy didn't come till year 4 or 5, but he still had a huge impact. And one thing I'm really looking at is they had to come to a lot of the cons. I understand, some people missed 1 or 2, but if you've missed more than half, you're probably not going to be on this list. There's a good chance you're not going to make it. Now 2020 was a different kind of year because hardly anybody got there 2020. Even 2021 was a little shaky, right? Because 2021, had some issues.
But 2021 was shaky in that there were a lot of regulars who didn't make it, but there were a lot of noobs that did because people were just trying to get out of the house.
So John Miller brings up, so he says, has Jim Warder been to North Texas? Yes, he has. I believe he came our second year. He had a heart attack the third year. I believe he made about 4 of our conventions.
He came some point from 2014 on because I know I saw him in the lobby one time.
He never made it to the Westin. He's only been to the Marriott and then our first place. Now, so this is an example. I'm not picking on Jim. I love Jim, and he was a great guest. But Jim would not be in our Hall of Fame. The reason being is he only went to 4 or 5 cons, and we had 14. So just the fact that he hasn't been to enough to really affect the con in terms of, okay, one of the reasons I go every year is because Jim goes every year. And if Jim had made 10 cons, it might be a different story. So as much as I love Jim to death, he would not be on the list. He would not be on my very short list.
I have an idea, though. If he donates a signed copy of Giant Lance, maybe it'll boost him.
I thought he did. Oh, wait, no, you had to pay for it, man. You had to pay for that.
I'm just saying, man. It's an idea.
I'll give you a couple of other examples. 2 other special guests that came our first year. So our guests the first year were Tim Kask, Rob Kuntz, Frank Menser, Dennis Astaire, Janelle Jaquays, and Jason Braun. Of those names, if you look at elder statesman types, you would say that, okay, well, you put in Janelle and you put in Dennis, you put in Tim, Frank and Rob, right? Frank and Rob they've been to like 5 or 6 of our cons. They just haven't. I mean, Rob stopped coming about year 3. Well, actually, he went to up until we went to the Westin. So I'm thinking Rob might have gone to 5. But as much as they are legends in gaming, they have not been essential to what the con has done the last 14 years.
Fair enough.
So I'm just saying that's why when I talk in terms of inclusivity, it's going to be people that come nearly every year and that always contribute, and they've contributed in a very positive way. And that's why I couldn't leave out. I mean, like I was thinking, Matt Finch has been to every one of our cons. I mean, every single one, even the freaking 2020 con he came. So, and he's just been has such an effect on our con. And he, to me, the first 5 names were easy. This guy it makes sense. This 5 names perfectly. But, as time comes on, you may see some attendees on there and not a special guest because, look, attendees are part of our con, right? I mean, there's certain attendees by coming every single year and by promoting us and by volunteering their time and efforts, they've made themselves part of the con and they've made themselves essential to the success of the con.
Jen wants to know if you doing the nights, and I don't know if that means in a sexual manner because we could rent Mike out, but that would be prostitution.
Or will other people qualify? Yes. That's what I was just saying, Jen. Yeah, other people will qualify. They don't have to have been a special guest. They just happen to be a special guest this year, all the ones I picked. But no, I'm like I said, I'm going to look at people in the future. Let's put it this way. I already have probably 3 names for next year. And by the way, they all went our first year, but they were not special guests. So you can speculate on that on your own. But they also all 3 of these people have greatly contributed to the history and the success of the con. And it's going to be different every year. So I may have to put more than 1 in next year because, I shouldn't put one of these in without the other 2. Let's put it that way. So,
that's fair enough. So Rob went to 6, according to Gary.
Yeah, so Rob didn't start. No, Rob went more than that. He didn't. Rob has been to every one, but he missed the first one. Rob missed the first one, and he came the second year. He swears it's because I didn't tell him the con was going on, which I don't know about that. But no, Rob, I believe that Rob's been to every one since year 2. And by the way, Rob's not going to get on this list because he every time he's done something good for the con, he showed us his scrotum and the midnight auction, and that's like
Oh,
a
well,
negative. It's
we're
like a net
talking about
negative.
different Robs. We're talking about different Robs.
Oh, Rob Kuntz. Okay, I was talking about Rob Battalato. No, my brother's. Yeah, he's a no. Rob Kuntz. Gary is right. That Gary's absolutely correct. Rob went to 6. He went to the first 6, and then we never saw him again. Then he moved to France or wherever he moved to. Yes, he is living in France, by the way. And he did marry a French woman. So yes, Rob did first 6, and then we haven't heard much from him. Although he did have a very nice eulogy for Doug after Doug passed away. He and Doug really got along very well. As people this weekend, as they heard my story of how Rob Kuntz almost came to live in Texas, I told that quite a few times during the con. But yeah, but I mean, Rob was Rob was.
We all haven't heard it, so come on, give it up, Mike.
I've told this story numerous times, but basically,
I have never heard it, so you haven't told it fucking enough.
So Rob Kuntz and Doug were fast friends. Maybe because they're both assholes. I don't know why, but they just got along really well. And they would call each other on the phone and talk on the weekends and stuff. And they both thought the Three Castles Award together. That was their baby. Three Castles Award. They both worked on that together. But at one point, Rob was homeless. He had lost his rent and he didn't have enough money to pay for a place. So they were talking. Doug said, "Hey, I've got some property in East Texas. I tell you what, you can move to Texas. I'll buy you a trailer, like a small, mobile home trailer. We'll hook up some electricity and some water, and you'll be set. You can go out there and ride or do whatever." And I'm like, dude, Rob Kuntz. Okay, here's what's going to happen. If Rob Kuntz moves to Texas, one of us is going to get a call at 11:40 on a Friday night because Rob ran out of cigarettes and beer. And he's going to want us to drive out to East Texas and bring him some cigs and some beer. And I'm not doing it. You're doing it. I'm not going to be sitting there watching Netflix and have the phone ring. And Rob Kuntz goes, "Hey, I need some beer, buddy." And I said, "Nope, it's not going to happen." And so luckily, I think Rob met a woman or so. He usually meets a woman. This guy's got the charisma of 18 or whatever. So he met a woman and we got saved from Rob having to live in East Texas with Doug paying the rent for God knows how long. As Gary says, he was the closest one to that hook.
There you go.
So Gary, he was going to be calling you to go bring cigarettes to Rob. Yes.
Now, I've never purchased anything from Rob, but I do know somebody who did. And the first thing they said to me is that when they received the package, as they took it out of their mailbox, they were like, "Did somebody pack my package with cigarette butts and ashes?"
Mm-hmm.
Because just taking it out of the mailbox, it had that odor, and then you open it.
Rob was a chain smoker, and so the joke is, if you get something from Rob, if it doesn't smell like cigarettes, it's not authentic, right?
There you go.
Because he smoked all around his stuff. I mean, usually you'll see the description of something you buy on eBay, and it'll say from a smoke-free home.
Right.
Rob would never have written that on anything he ever sold. It would have been an absolute lie. So, yes, okay. Rob's stuff was not from a smoke-free home. It was from a smoke-filled home because Rob
never ending. Probably had to wake himself up in the middle of the night to get a few extra cigarettes in. It's like I've been sleeping for 2 hours.
Oh, my God.
No, again, I've never purchased anything, but I've Joe the lawyer purchased something, and he was just like, "Holy shit!"
Oh yeah, that is not even a joke. Yes, stuff purchased from Rob would often have the odor of cigarettes hanging onto it. So yeah, that was a bullet dodged by us at Texas, not to have Rob around here, not to be going and trying to get cigarettes and God knows what else, French wine.
It would have earned you points for heaven, right? Maybe, sort of. All right, maybe not. I froze Mike up. It's not just he's stunned by my poor joke. Look at that. That's an image that we're waiting on you, Mike. You're almost back. Your mouth is moving, but we hear not a word. Bada 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 bada. Nothing, Mike. Sorry. No. God damn. Was it your computer or was it your internet connection? He doesn't know. We still don't hear you. And I'm not playing with you. I could fuck with you, but I wouldn't do it on the live stream. All right. We will return with Bad Mike in a few moments after this. To those who complain about me not shaving, yes, I haven't shaved. So that's about a week now, because I think the last time I shaved was a week ago Tuesday. And I have had comments that I shouldn't shave. I don't know why. From other men, they say I look sexy. It's
All right, how about that? How about the
now,
reboot?
now we hear you. I told you, Mike, I wouldn't fuck with you.
No,
I
I know
would
it's
fuck
a
with you.
reboot. I had to
fuck with you,
reboot.
but not in a live stream. There's
No, I
times to
know.
fuck with
I
you,
know,
but that's
yeah.
not it.
So reboot. So Saturday night, and then after Saturday night is the night I can usually stay up a little late. So we stayed up in the bar and talk. Oh, I want to tell about a couple other fun, just little incidents that happened. So, Lloyd had the artist gathering Friday night. Oh, that's where I was when I heard that you guys were doing your podcast. And I had to run in there, so I went to the artist gathering, and it had Lloyd and Darlene and Ed Bickford and a couple. Liz Stewart was there for a while, and there was this lady there. Her name was Penn, and when we sat down, Darlene was not there, and so we started talking, and she's like, we're just about the con. This is her first time she came to the con. That because she heard that Darlene was going to be here, and Darlene was her hero, her favorite artist of all time. She loved her stuff. Went on and on and on. I said, I know Darlene. Of course, I know Darlene. So I said, hold on. I said, I can do this for you. I can get this done. So Darlene was having dinner at a table over in the restaurant. I went over there and told her biggest fan was waiting for her at the artist gathering. So as soon as she was done, to come on over there and see her. And I went and told that girl, and her eyes just lit up and were so big and just like she couldn't believe it. And so she was so excited. And then when our Darlene finally came over and she got to meet her, she was just absolutely over the moon. And Darlene, being the absolute sweetheart she was, or she is, she took a sheet like that and drew something on the one side, flipped it over, and in calligraphy wrote her this really beautiful note in the other one that was like, follow your dreams, and I think you have a very special person, and you're going to do well in life. It was just the most amazing thing. Just imagine your biggest hero growing up, and they wrote you a note like that. It would just be mean everything to you. And so that was just really wonderful.
Sticking with Saturday, so Saturday afternoon, after the IP and trademark seminar, I went back to my room. I knew Rach was working out with Alice Peng via Zoom or whatever they do. And I get to the room, I put my card up against it, and it's got that like flashing orange light. I went, she threw the bolt. All right, no big deal. Knock, knock, knock. Nothing. Now, knock, knock, knock. Nothing. Calling the phone. Now I know I'm listening at the right room. I hear my phone ring. I hear, Eric, you have a call from Eric. And then I finally listened. I hear the shower going. I went, oh, mother. She locked the door.
Oh.
She's taking a shower. Let me go downstairs. So I go downstairs and I sit in one of those big floppy chairs across from the ladies' room. Not because I'm stalking any women. That's because where all the chairs were. And who comes by to talk with me but Darlene. And we had a nice conversation. And then I was like, you know what? Let's move this to your table because otherwise you're losing business.
Right.
And we had an amazingly complete, deep conversation. Darlene's one of the listen, when you talk about the nicest, kindest people in gaming in this community, Darlene is at the top of the list.
We really need to get on the show sometime. I know I keep saying I'm going to get her, and I just forget to talk to her. So we need to get her on the show one of these days.
So
I think she'd be great. I think she'd be great.
We must have called for like 90 minutes before Rach finally called me and said, "Are you done with your seminar?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been done with my seminar for a while, but I'm down here with Darlene." She's like, "Oh my god!" And she came running down because she loves Darlene.
Yes, who doesn't? Yeah, she's like the sweetheart of D&D. I mean, she's just amazing. But yeah, what she did for that girl was just absolutely amazing. And that girl carried around that thing in her sketchbook and was just glowing all night long, just absolutely just in heaven because she'd met her hero, and her hero turned out to be kick-ass,
Oh, yeah.
And that was just absolutely great. And so that was really nice. And that, like I said, that was Friday night. And so Saturday, and then Sunday we wake up and we have Civilization on Sunday.
And
And
not just any civilization, okay?
no,
This is like Uber
mega
Alice civilization.
mega Civilization, yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. I had
So
never
yeah,
played. I
it's
probably
Zach.
played it on the computer at some point, but I never. Yeah. It takes up a
Well, Zach had
room.
the room all set up. There was food. There was drinks. I mean, he was dressed up in a wig and a suit, and it was very civilized. But it was just an
Well,
amazing production by Zach, and it looked like
yeah.
everybody just had an absolute blast playing.
It was a fun time. It was. I mean, Rach and I, because he approached us, I guess, on Saturday. You have plans on Sunday, and I'm like, I guess maybe like. And initially, my plans had been for those following along at home. Hey, Sunday we'll get up, get downstairs around 8:30, have a quick breakfast, and then catch the dealer's room before people start packing up. But it didn't happen because uh, we were given like a 9:30 report time to Civilization, which meant that we reported directly there. And then by the time I got out around 11 o'clock on my first break, New Big Dragon and a bunch of other vendors were already packed up. I was like, I'm not doing a video of a half packed up room. But the game was a lot of fun, especially as you learned learned it. I didn't I wasn't rules lawyering enough. I wasn't gamifying it enough. I wasn't trying to figure out how to follow one path on the cards to make them the cheapest way to buy them and thereby rule over everybody else at the end of the game because we weren't going to play it until the point where people were defeated because we didn't have an 18-hour time slot. We had like 5. But
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot of fun, and the people that were involved in the game, that were playing the game, were spot on. They were just everybody was just good and
Yep.
helpful, and it wasn't. And when the name of the game of Civilization is you are going to fuck people over with
Oh yeah.
intent, and I had to convince Rach to do that, and she did. And as is Rachel's nature, she felt guilty for doing it, but it was part of the fun. It was, and even the
Right.
person
Oh
that
yeah.
threw
Definitely.
was like, okay, that's actually pretty funny. Thank you. Right now, I have
Well,
this event card that's going to fuck me over. That was probably worth it.
well, the cool thing about the game too is you have to have a lot of people. It works better the more people you have.
Right.
That's what's really cool about it. Is that and so usually if you most of these games nowadays 3 to 4 people or 3 to 4 maybe 5 or 6 people the most. This game really requires you to have at least 10 people, and that slows it down, yes, but it also makes it incredible because you don't have it's hard to gang up on somebody, right? Or hard to you've got so many people involved that's really hard to try to form an alliance with people.
Oh yeah, and any alliance that you make, both sides know is temporary at best. Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Rach and I were on opposite sides of the board, which kind of made it good
Mm.
because I could sit down with her because my brain has been playing games since I was in my I don't know my tween years, like
Right.
11, 12 years old. Rach has only really come into this like aggressive form of gaming. Um, I don't know, never, but she has an understanding of RPGs. So when we play like Ticket to Ride in my family, I get in trouble for playing like train lines to block people. Like that's
Right.
wrong. I'm going for that. It's like yeah, I'm playing the game to win. So I was able to give Rach a few hints. That and some of the instructions. Zach was nice. He printed them out nice and large.
Yeah, you did a good job with that. Yeah, definitely.
Which listen, I have old eyes. We know Rachel's eyes are they're legally blind. We've mentioned that in the past, and so like the cards are small though, and I was like, all right, this is what this one does. But learning, I'm looking forward to playing it next year because I'll have a better idea of what I'm doing.
Right.
So,
Right. That does help a little bit because Zach had already run it once in North Texas at the warehouse, and so it gave him a little heads up about what he should affect. And I think
yep.
that familiarity with the game helps you run it a little better.
and it helped. The people who had played it before at the warehouse had a better concept of what was expected, and that was good. It gave them a more powerful position in the game.
Hmm.
But like I said, next year, Rich and I will have a better understanding of what to do to rank better as opposed to what to do just to look better on the board. Your position on the board has very little to do with how you rank in the end.
Right. Yes. Oh,
So,
yes.
and that I found to be very interesting.
Yeah, that's true. That is kind of cool. Yes. Very, very true.
Greg Gillespie, Darlene has done several illos for duality. She's a gem.
She
She really
did. Oh, so yeah. Well, so some of the little cool things that happened while we were there. Greg Gillespie brought his next Mega Dungeon Draw Deep. He had a finished copy, and I got to see some of the incredible artwork in there, including there's an Elmore in there and a Darlene. He's got the artwork's unbelievable, and my group is really kind of chomping at the bit to play Draw Deep. We're finishing up a high fell run, and so after that we'll probably do Draw Deep if you know depending on what we want to do. But yeah, it looked great, and I cannot wait for that thing to come out. It's going to be really fun. But yes, she did an incredible page size picture in Dorothy.
Ooh, we get to make buffet suggestions if you played this year. All right. Um, I'm going to suggest more low carb choices. I don't know what they're going to be yet. My health, which I talked about on Saturday night. Saturday night we did a Gamers Health. Again,
Maybe a
from
talkie.
and I mean, listen, one of the hardest things to do is eat healthy at a convention. Now that
Yeah.
being said, and I'll talk about this on Saturday. Uh, from Wednesday morning through Monday morning, I dropped 4.5 pounds. No fucking clue how I did that, but I dropped 4.5 pounds by going to North Texas. That's the kind of diet that I would recommend to anybody. Go to
Yeah.
North Texas, drink beer and whiskey, and eat intermittently when you can find time to get a meal, and have barbecue twice. And this is the way you lose
Mm.
weight. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
so
Yeah, we did have one. We went to barbecue. I want to say Wednesday, Thursday. We went to a place called Meet You Anywhere, MEAT, which is a great little place downtown Grapevine. I think a few other people hit Hard Eight a couple times.
yeah, I went to
Uh,
Heart Eight twice.
oh, you went to Hard Eight twice.
Yeah,
Wow.
we went with Adam Thompson on Saturday, and I was just like, I learned my lesson. I know to get the sandwiches, not to get the meat by the pound because you'll never.
I know it's just too much. You just can't eat it all. Yeah, I know.
But my God, Texas, we don't have very much good barbecue in New York City. Greg, you lost 2 pounds at North Texas, and Greg is somebody who's pretty strict on his keto. By the way, I will say this: I've never had Michelob Ultra on tap prior to this con. The
Hmm.
bar had it until we killed the keg. Um, but damn, Mick Ultra on tap is one of my favorite tap
All
beers now.
right, that's my light beer I've been drinking lately. So
Yeah, it's really good. I was pleasantly surprised.
yeah, we missed you, Tammy and Tom. We missed you guys. Wish you could have been here this year. That stinks. That y'all couldn't come.
You know
So
what? 2023, we're going to have a lot of people who have not made it to the con in prior years make it. I've
it,
got commitments from a number of my
it could
guests.
be crazy. Yeah, it could be really crazy next year because if everybody says they want to comes. Whoa, that could be crazy. We had our attendance was close to about around the 400 number. So we're still way off our numbers of 2018. Not way off, but we're off our numbers 2018, 2019 pre COVID. So we still have quite a bit of we have quite a bit of room to expand.
You know, here's the thing about North Texas that if you're somebody that goes to GaryCon and you're used to having to shove through crowds in the hallways, especially around like the bathroom / old vending area. I wasn't there this year, but where the old vending area was across from
Hmm.
registration, that would get. It was like rush hour in New York City subways at some point. It was like holy shit! I'm getting claustrophobic, and your ability to find anybody you're looking for was minimal.
Yeah.
North Texas usually comes in somewhere between the 350 to 450 with so many special guests and a lot of people who aren't necessarily special guests, but people that you will recognize, people that go there every year,
Oh yeah.
people that are um, names in the industry without being necessarily people that are on the guest list. You're not going to stop bumping into people. I bumped into so many people in the hallways. I
It's
swear to
amazing.
God,
It's crazy.
it's the reason why I was sitting across from the ladies' room, because it was part of the main hallway, and I knew if people wanted to find me, they could find me. And I met some people first year at any convention because they heard it from Ty.
Oh
Remember,
wow. Ty got them to come? Seriously?
I got them to come.
That's
I told
crazy.
them at North Texas. They were Texas locals. This was on Saturday afternoon, and he was just like, "Dude, I heard about this from
Wow.
Ty Beard." And when they met Ty Beard, they were like, "Oh my God, it's
The
that
beard, it's the beard.
Ty Beard! Oh my God!" But here's the thing: these are people who are gamers who didn't know about this con. And like, you guys, like, I'm coming back all 4 days next year. I'm coming back. This is the most amazing thing because everybody's approachable. Nobody
Yeah.
is, from what I've seen, nobody is a fucktard. I have yet to meet. Shouldn't say that. I got to go back to the old location with somebody who had their own agenda, but these days at the Westin, I have yet to meet anybody that is a fucktard, that is rude,
Wow.
that everybody wants to socialize. At worst, you get some people that are a little shy, but
Mhm.
everybody just
Yeah.
want you're there because it's a convention. I mean, I got to see and David, I'm not going to say your last name because I always fuck it up. David P. He's got too many consonants and not enough vowels in his name. I was gaming with David, I don't know, close to 10 years ago, um, and he hadn't gotten to the convention since before COVID. It was great to see him. He's somebody who travels with his bike because he'll probably ride his bike for 10, 20 miles a day, even at the con. And then these are people I didn't get enough time to spend with because I was in no games and my days were full from meeting people. So I don't know.
I never had enough time to get anything done. I mean, we're gonna need more people next year to help us because it was I was busy the whole damn time. I really was. I was busy I barely had time to sit down and not do anything a few times, but most of the time I was absolutely jam packed with things to do. I mean, not just. I mean, so one of the things we do is every year Matt Roberts makes us a beautiful poster for the con, and puts all the special guest names on there. Well, I sure I ran around and got all the special guests to sign it, so that took a good 2 or 3 hours because they're everywhere. They're scattered everywhere. So
Yeah.
that was a tough one, and that just took up a ton of my time.
Uh, Tom, we can do dueling live streams, simulcasting from the con. We could do that. We could be right next to each other and have two different streams going. It'll be like like Fox and CNN doing a congressional coverage. Come on, George. Good evening, everyone. We want to be there next year. Sorry we couldn't go this year. Sounds like it was a terrific time. I might be prejudiced because I think my first North Texas was 2014, and it's gotten better every year, without a doubt. Because you learn from experience. I learned my first year: don't register for 8 fucking games when you're in your mid 40s because you're not going to be able to do 8 games over the course of 3.5 days. Um, but just the more you go, the more connections you make. Somebody pointed out to me there are two types of con goers: those that go to play games, and those that go to socialize.
Mm-hmm.
And I have certainly learned my initial years, I was going to play games and I was going to run games. And now I go to socialize. I go to meet people and see people maybe I haven't seen in months or a year, or in some
Yeah.
cases longer than that. And you see the children that you only see once a year. You're like, oh my God, they grew so big. Like I remember
Oh
when
yeah. Yeah.
I remember when the hair was not like, I don't know, half a foot taller than me. I remember when he was like
Well,
a normal person.
my grandson who turned 18 this year and
Amazing.
graduated high school, his first con he came to was when he was 6. So I mean, that's just mind boggling to me.
Yeah.
I believe 6. Let me see. Hold on. 14, 15, he was 3. I think he was 6. Yeah, he's about 6. That's mind boggling. I mean, it blows my mind. But I mean, he's an adult now. We were sending him out to do errands. Hey, could you run and get everybody hamburgers, or go bring this guy over here? I mean, he was doing, actually being able to help the con because he could drive. He has keys to his car. He has a car and everything. He could do stuff. So, yeah, it's amazing to see all those kids just grow up and become part of the con.
Yeah, it really. I remember the kids that were running around when I first started coming to the con are now like running games. It's just like, what happened? Because they grow up so much. Not last year, but North Texas is a community. It's almost like it's an extended family. And I'm not trying to take anything away from any of the other great cons in the old school track. Game Hole, Gary Con, Total Con, even Chari Con's only a day. And Chari Con comes closest because everybody is local and you kind of recognize faces. But when the cons get to a certain size, you can walk through a crowd and not recognize anybody.
Yeah.
North Texas, you recognize people. You almost feel, as a New Yorker, we're very used to walking through crowds and doing this shit. You put your horse blinders on so you don't make eye contact with anybody. And at North Texas, you got to untrain yourself and make eye contact and smile at people because you probably know them. And that's an amazing thing. I don't think people realize that. At least a lot of the New Yorkers don't realize that. That's part of our upbringing. I apologize for my fellow New Yorkers. So, wow.
Well, that was so Sunday. That's the day everybody usually leaves, and you say all your tearful goodbyes and all that stuff. So we had usually go out and have dinner, and then Sunday we have our typical kind of con wrap up, and we find a boardroom or a place to all sit and just talk. And we had a great time. We discussed the con and talked about several things, but my con wasn't over because I had a Monday plan.
Yes, you did.
I had a Monday plan. So Dr. Greg Gillespie, special guest in our con, and Jeff Talanian, he who is the author of Hyperborea, had wanted to see the Robert E. Howard House for many years, and this is the birthplace, or not the birthplace, but the place where Robert E. Howard grew up and where he died. He shot himself in the driveway of this house.
Really?
And it's in Cross Plains, Texas, about a 2.5 hour drive in the middle of nowhere, as it was back then too. Robert grew up in a very isolated area, full of oil people. It was an oil. Cross Plains is an oil boom town that was already starting to lose fortune when Howard was there. And so my T-shirt I got.
Nice.
Okay. So anyway, we planned a trip, and then we got up that morning. We headed up to Cross Plains, and so
that's right. We were in the hotel shuttle waiting to go to the airport, and you came out.
That's right. I hadn't got back. Had I got back by then or not? Or
no. That was early in the morning. That was
that was early in the morning. That's right.
You guys 9 o'clock shuttle. So yeah.
So we had a great trip out there. Told lots of jokes. Talked about lots of current events in gaming, and we get out there, and it was miserable fucking hot. But that's good because this is very authentic to how Texas is in the summer. They have such a wonderful setup there project. So for those who don't know, after Howard died, the house fell in disrepair. Dr. Howard, who was the last remaining member, left. It was rented out to many different people over the years. Furniture was taken by neighbors or destroyed or thrown out. All his books were donated to a college library nearby. And you could just check them out. You could just check out a book that belonged to Robert E. Howard. I mean, they weren't put in any special collection or anything. And because he wasn't thought of very well by the people in the town, they always thought he was a weirdo. He's that weird Howard kid that shot himself and killed himself. And so they just never really, respect him. And then it wasn't until the 60s and the 70s till Sprague Camp Lynn Cook started doing Lynn Carter, not Cook, Lynn Carter started doing the reprints, the Conan reprints. And he started to get a little traction. Like, okay, this guy was kind of famous. And then the Conan movie came out in 1982, I believe. And after that, everybody's like, whoa, maybe we should do something for him. And I believe that the camps were very influential behind the scenes in donating money to help them get enough money to restore the house.
Really?
Yes. And so they finally were able to fix the house up, which had fallen in a lot of disrepair. They were able to get back a lot of the original furniture because it turned out the neighbors who had lived there the whole time, they had pieces of furniture from the Howard house. They still had it in their family, their family. They were able to get all the books from the Brownwood Library. They have a bookcase in there that has all Howard's actual books. They just did a great job, and when you go there, it's just beautiful. The yard's fixed up, the fence is fixed up. They have a giant historical marker there, and I was actually surprised to find out that it's not just in the Texas Historical Registry; it's actually in the National Historical Registry, which I did not know.
Oh, nice.
It's a national historical spot. Tiny little house. I mean, you wouldn't believe how small. You walk in. There's a little living room to the right, a bedroom to the left. Very small. You walk down the hallway. There's a kitchen to your right. Then there's what used to be the porch when they first built the house, and that became Robert's room. And it's like 10 feet wide by 20 feet long. I mean, very small. And
you don't know New York. You don't know New York apartments, do you?
That's small.
That's half an apartment in parts of New York City. I'm saying.
But it's tiny, and it's just amazing to think of all the things he created in that tiny little unair conditioned space, that he just lived all the time. It's really amazing. And they have a little table set up there with a typewriter. It's not his typewriter, but it's the same model and year, and it just looks amazing. They've done a really good job. So they take you on a tour, and Project Pride, who runs the museum, it's basically the older ladies in the town. They all belong to this committee. And so what they do is when you schedule a tour, they drive over to the house, which is just a little ways outside of town, a little west of downtown. And they take you on a tour through the house. And just imagine your grandma. It's like your grandma taking you on a tour of the house. They're just these little old 80, 70, 80-year-old ladies. And they're really sweet. They know lots about Robert E. Howard, and they talk about his books and his movies, and they know a lot about him. It's so funny because they've done their work on him. And so it's just lots of artifacts in there, letters he wrote. The same pictures that were on the wall are still on the wall, which is insane. You think that somebody would have changed the artwork after, 50 to 100 years, but nobody ever did. They're just all there. And the same door, they were talking about how the door handles are the same. Nobody ever replaced the door handles. I mean, it's very, very authentic. It's incredible. And, John says that Brian Freiberg's YouTube channel has a bunch of videos of the Robert Howard Day conventions. Yes, the Howard Day conventions are actually this weekend. So we were a week early for them. So they were actually getting the house all fixed up and ready. So it worked out perfectly. We got there. We had to do the tour with two other women that were there. But that was great. There was 5 of us, I mean, it's a little house, but it worked out really good because the tour took like 2 hours for this little 4-room house. It took 2 hours because Arlene went over every single part of everything. I mean, and of course we asked a lot of questions, and Jeff was having to hold himself in because he knew more than the tour guide. So he was trying not to say stuff, but I mean, it was just amazing. And so, and you got to remember these guys are huge Howard fans, Greg and Jeff both. And so it was just really, really cool to go out there. I've been out there one time before, and every time, both times I've been out there, it makes me emotional because I love this guy's writing so much. I discovered it when I was a kid. I was reading the Marvel Comics Conan with Barry Smith doing the art, Roy Thomas doing the writing.
My favorite was Conan the King.
That was a lot later. That was in the 80s, I think.
But that was the one that hooked me. Yeah. I was like, that was me, and I guess my high school and college days. I was like, oh my God, the writing is so good. The stories were very fantastical without being unrealistic. I guess it was good.
It was, and of course he also created Cole the Conqueror, and he created Solomon Kane and Bram McMorn. He just had this incredibly fertile mind. Wrote westerns, wrote boxing stories. Matter of fact, towards the end of his career, since Weird Tales was really, really screwing him over, and a lot of scholars think that was part of the reason why he killed himself, along with the fact his mother died. He killed himself right after. Actually, what's weird is his mother went into a coma, and he killed himself. He actually died before his mother. His mother died out.
Really?
Yeah, she was sickly her whole life, and when she went to the coma, he asked the nurse, "Is she ever going to come out of it?" And she said no. And so he walked in his backyard, basically shot himself in the head. And he had a really bad week. I guess his dog had also died, I believe, a few weeks before. He just had it, and he was, he was a very tortured soul in his life. He had one girlfriend, Novelyn Price, who they based the movie A Whole Wide World on. Have you ever seen that with Renee Zellweger and Vincent D'Onofrio? It's a really, really good movie based on their relationship. And he was getting paid very slow. He needed the money really bad. He would write these pleading letters to the editors of Weird Tales, and they would just like, yeah, checks in the mail. And so, his father was getting checks even like, I think almost a year after he died, he was still getting checks because they were so slow to pay. But so just all these things just built up, and he killed himself. And it's just, he was only 30 years old, Eric. I mean, think about that. 30 years old, and he created all the things I just named. It's mind blowing. And if he'd lived another 30 years, I mean, who knows? Who knows how respected he may have been? He may have been the new Louis L'Amour because he loved writing westerns. He was actually a good western writer. He may have been, he may have started writing. Because he moved along from fantasy. If you ever look at what he did, he would start off writing one character, and then he'd leave that character behind totally. So he started off with Cull, and then he started doing somebody else, Solomon Kane. And then he didn't do any more Cull stories. And when he finished with Cull stories, he was finished. With Solomon Kane, when he's finished with Solomon Kane stories, he was finished. And so he did that his whole career, and then so he might have been through with Conan stories at some point. May have written enough. Like, okay, I've written enough Conan stories. He was writing a lot of westerns and boxing stories. The time he killed himself. So he may have moved totally out of the fantasy genre to horror. He loved horror stories. He wrote some really good horror stories. Pigeons from Hell, The Thing from the Monolith are really good. Anyway, so I'm sorry to ramble on there, but I'm a huge Robert E. Howard fan. He was just a amazing talent that was just life was cut short. I mean, he's amazing talent who they've never made a good Conan movie. Why? Because they've never actually adapted a Conan story, and the stories are so powerful and so amazing. It's just incredible. But yeah, someday they'll make it. Someday he'll be one of the biggies because someday somebody's going to take one of his stories and actually adapt it to a movie instead of just writing something. It's okay. It's a Conan story, and people are just going to go nuts if somebody does it the right way. Just does it with respect to the material, and people are like, whoa. This is Conan. Conan is really awesome. But yeah, it was a great experience. So, and we drove back. I dropped them off. Then I finally got to rest for the first time in 5 days. I was just like, I walked in. My wife's like, "Oh my god," because I was just like, "Oh, I can't do it anymore."
Oh, dude, we slept until almost noon yesterday. It was just like,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
I tell you know what. We'll get back to you on that one, George.
Oh yeah.
We'll have somebody get that.
We're going to start. So one of the things Gary and I talked about, we're going to have a big meeting. It's Friday or Saturday? Friday, I think, Gary. And we're going to start talking about what was done right, what was done wrong, what can do better, what do we need. I mean, we're taking suggestions from everybody that went to the con. If you have any suggestions, let us know. But we'll have tickets up pretty soon. Sooner actually than last year, because if you remember correctly, Doug did not make the con last year. He fell extremely ill right before the con, and then he just basically suffered for 2 months, and then he finally passed away. A couple months after the con. So we were really late in starting things last year, very late. But this year, we're everywhere on top of it. We're on top of stuff, and we're going to get things rolling pretty quickly. And so I'm not sure when vendor booths will go up, but it won't be really late. I think the first thing we have to do, Gary, is sign a new contract with the hotel, probably before we do anything, to make sure we're actually going to be there next year. But then after that, we'll start looking at putting up tickets with a discount, which is a good time to get aboard if you want to have a discount. And remember, we roll over if you have to miss for some reason. If you're like, I don't want to buy a ticket in September because it's next year, we'll roll it over the next year if you can't make it. We always roll it over a year. So so we spent the last couple of days doing that. I've been out at the warehouse the last 2 days trying to dig out through some stuff. Find, I mean, at the end of the con, the dirty little secret is you just throw everything in boxes. Just like, let's just get the hell out of here. You don't even care anymore. You don't give a shit. You're just like, get it out on the truck and out of the truck. And so everything's just scattered. And you don't know where stuff is. I went through today. I did part of my inventory to see what I had sold because I wanted to keep track of what I made. I did pretty good. I didn't do as good as last year, but I did really good. But I've been doing my inventory all day, going through boxes, looking for things that I want to find. I mean, it's just crazy. It's going to be like this for about a week because it takes that long to go through all the boxes. Say, oh, that's where that is. It's in that box, and you don't want to lose anything. You want to make sure you find everything. It's crazy. The week after, even you still have a lot of work to do, and we're going to have a big powwow. And like I said, we're going to see what went right, what went wrong. I've already got some really good suggestions for people. If you went to the con and you have anything you want to add and you think that we should be doing, just let us know.
Yeah, at worst, they won't be able to do it. But if you don't let them know, they certainly won't.
No, we don't know. We don't know if you don't tell us. And so definitely let us know. I had some very good suggestions the past couple of weeks. What about the plus with tickets? I believe Gary said we're going to do it pretty soon, maybe by July, Gary. I mean, sooner than we thought. Yeah, as Gary said, he didn't get started until December of last year. This year we're starting almost immediately, so he might have tickets up sooner than you think. And it's always good to buy those tickets early because we unlike Doug, we do not offer discounts for 6 months. God
damn.
Like the whole year. So we're gonna have probably discounts for 30 days, and that's gonna be it.
July 1st is Gary's goal. That's pretty good.
Oh
no, we don't have
answers.
No
we didn't have any poll dancers. We just had.
We had your brother. We had your brother.
That wasn't a poll dancer, and we had Mr. Krabs. No discounts for 30 days only. No. Oh,
I think that Gary. Yeah, no,
discounts for 30 days only.
Right.
Yes, we're not going to do discounts for 6 months. We're not doing that anymore. That costs us a lot of money over the years because Doug just was an awesome guy and didn't want people to have to pay very much. But Gary and I are money-grubbing capitalists. We want all your freaking money.
You have to run in black. You can't be in the red.
No, we have to save the money. And so, the money that we made this year is guaranteeing that we get a convention next year. I mean, we did pretty good. We did okay enough to where, we don't have to worry too much about next year right away. And so, yeah, we're going to get everything going. And maybe, you never know, maybe someday we'll have a war chest big enough that we can say, now we can know we're going to have a convention next year and the year after because we got that much, money saved away. So that's just, it's all putting it aside and sacking it aside. And I'll tell you, we had some good ways to get, we made some good money this year off of just crazy stuff like we charged for the first 2 rows of the silent auction, of the midnight auction, which filled up. They filled up. Yeah. We're charging $20 a seat and boom, full.
I was there. And like Flynn.
You're big. Yeah, you and Rachel were big spenders. You just like flipped your money out. Like, hey, I'm sitting in the front row, man.
Yeah, we're gonna be there. So we by the way, folks, we had a plan on doing This Week in Gaming Stupid, and then this day in Gaming Stupid came up. And Mike, when we've been talking,
what happened?
What happened? I'll tell you what happened. The story that we were talking about earlier, which was Chad Rowe, who was
so we didn't even tell. Yeah. We should at least let people know what's going on.
Right, we're going to get the background.
Up recently.
Right. So Chad Rowe made a complaint about Jameson Stone, who is Satine Phoenix's husband, recently married at this year's Gary Con, and basically complained about being gaslit. I had to look up. I've heard the term.
This guy's a tattoo artist, and he did a tattoo on Jameson.
Right. He specializes in, I guess, in the gaming community type of stuff.
Right.
So, Jameson kind of belittled him about the contract that was being offered, and you got to read the whole conversation that was in.
Yeah, he really dressed this poor tattoo guy down. I mean, just basically for saying, look, he was trying to get him to sign an NDA, and Jameson blew up at him like, you're a piece of garbage, and it was just crazy.
So then Jameson came back with a reply, which here I'm gonna make a statement. This is my assumption. This is my perception. It does not mean it's right, but it looked like there had been talk already going on in the community
Hmm.
before the complaint was put up on Facebook, because Jameson's response was very well thought out, very, I don't want to say legalese, but very like, I got PTSD and I'm going through counseling with my
Right.
wife. And it was really long and complex. So, as we were doing this, somebody was nice enough to send me something from Jason Azevedo. And it goes, Jameson, though I appreciate your sentiment toward Chad, I believe there are many others that deserve an apology from both you and Satine Phoenix for the pervasive abuse that's been inflicted over the years. So, as me and Mike kind of thought, where there's smoke, there's fire, and if there's one complaint, there's probably going to be more.
Sure, sure.
They are coming out. An apology
Oh
to the realm
no.
for using the
Oh boy.
sponsorship of our series Champions of the Realm to try and sneak out an extra 20K out of Norwegian while only giving us 5K, which I have screenshots of you confirming and can confirm from multiple sources. By the way, as we've learned in other stories, screenshots are nobody is faking screenshots. Okay, screenshots are your rubber
No.
stamp of this is what happened. In addition to that, it would be nice to hear an apology
Yeah.
to everyone that you berated, treated like garbage, and gaslighted last week behind the scenes on Satine's quest. Your partners who worked their butts off to help you, your assistant who you also treated like garbage, and your very own wife, Satine Phoenix, who came to us every day
What happened?
crying
What
in
happened?
tears
Oh my
because
gosh.
of the way you told her that the cruise was a failure and it was all her fault. And then finally, perhaps an apology to every single individual that you and Satine have raged at, gaslighted, used, and manipulated to your ends. There are more than I can count, far more than have come forward in the last 24 hours. So this is going to be an ongoing story, folks, because once people start coming forward, you're going to find, and I'm not saying what any of these stories are legit. I don't have any inside information. I don't know Satine or Jameson personally. I can't speak for the character. I can't speak for the people. But there appear we've got two stories that came out today already, and this one is worse than the initial one that
Jeez.
popped a bit. And then finally, perhaps an apology to every single individual that you and Satine have raised that gaslighted, used, and manipulated to your ends. There are more than I can count. Okay, that's what I have. I haven't experienced your rage firsthand yet, but I have been witness to it on many occasions. Despite your challenges, because remember, Jameson, if you look at his Facebook post, talks about their own many personal issues.
Mm-hmm.
So it is never okay to treat this industry and the people within it the way you have. I went on that cruise to save your butts because everyone else had to back out. Some due to the way they were treated, only to have a vague post written about me after the fact and the team at D3 at sea ridiculed and cursed by you. It's great to apologize, but it means nothing without changed behavior. It ends now. Um, I suspect, again, no inside information, there's going to be more stuff coming out the rest of this week. It just seems like it's going south poorly.
Yeah, that's not good. It looks like it's snowballing now, and that's not good for them. And what's the worst part is just the fact that they have really cultivated this very family friendly image and game friendly, and I wouldn't say squeaky clean because they both they have a little bit of a past, and they're not exactly suburb mom and dad, but I mean they're well liked in the community, wouldn't you say, Eric? I mean most people have a positive,
Yeah,
very positive opinion of them.
I mean, listen, but last time I saw Satine was at my last Gary Con, which was prior to COVID, and she had the entourage and followers following her. It was like I don't know, protection from normal people in like a 20-foot radius because you couldn't get closer to her. So I mean, and she
Yeah.
is a popular personality. I never knew Jameson until he was starting to get associated with Satine. So I don't know what his background is to gaming. I literally have no clue. But Satine has been a personality. Uh, she wasn't she like the a spokeswoman or public relations for Wizards of the Coast for a number of years?
Right. Yeah, she worked for Wizards. That's true. And yes, so she has a she has a reputation to protect. I mean, this doesn't look good in that regard because, um, like I said, she's done a not a YouTube show. I mean, she runs games at conventions. They have Kickstarters. This is not what you want to see if you're there,
No,
right?
no,
Not at all.
and I mean, this is one complaint came forward earlier today, and the response. I'll be honest with you, the response. I read it, and I was like, "Wow, this is a well. This is like the kind of like the falling on the sword response. Not 100%, but enough that it was like, all right, well, they're saying that they have issues, they have problems, they're going to counseling, they're going to marriage counseling. All right, well, I guess they're addressing it, and it was apologetic. But now you've got another
Mhm.
complaint coming out saying, "Hey, this is recent. This is like we're talking in one case, what like last week in here. I mean, I was just like, so it's something to keep an eye on. We'll keep an eye on it, um, and just because it's newsworthy, and I mean, listen, we have personalities. I'm not going to name names that in this community that do treat people like shit when they can get away with it. And it's never right to treat people like shit, but especially when you're a popular personality and your face forward is what is going to make your money, make your income.
Here- Here's the worst part is that okay, so there apologies to Satine and Jameson, but they're big fish in a very small pond, which is
Yes.
game. This gamer thing. They're not like they're not even like Matt Mercer's or or the those kind. You know what I'm saying? They're not Critical Role. They're bigger than most Kickstarters, but they're not as big as the big names in our hobby. So it's
Hmm.
not like they have this giant reputation that can survive anything. I mean, they've got a very limited, small audience of people who buy their products and who watch them play. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
this
have
this
that.
is something that it could really hurt them in that small community.
I mean, I remember when they did Satine did the what was it, the one that they she did with Picorni with the traveling around the
Right?
world.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They were going to
And
get money to
that one,
run the road.
my humble opinion, the reason why that one succeeded but didn't succeed to their expectations is because really, does anybody want to pay for other rich people to go around the world when you'd rather be the one going? Let them pay with their own money, kind of deal. It was a hard one, I think, for the general masses to get behind. Satine has a personality that um, attracts people, both male and female, to her because she seems very outward and friendly.
Hmm.
And things like this aren't going to do any great help to that perception. It's going to be a problem. So I don't know what kind of response you can have to this, which doesn't sound like a rehash of the prior response. You know,
Hmm.
and again,
Yeah,
I
I mean
expect to be
that's
more.
true. I mean, you can't just keep apologizing for the same thing because then that makes you
Yeah,
look really terrible when you keep
yeah.
apologizing over and over and over again. Yeah.
I can't help it. I'm an asshole, but I'm going to treatment for it. Isn't going to be the long term answer. So I don't know.
Well, we'll
I
keep
mean,
track of it. It's
yeah.
hey, this is more fun than the latest whatever idiotic thing Lanasa did. I
You
mean,
know,
come on, this
actually, hey,
different.
uh,
It's different. We're swimming in a
it,
different pond now.
but
We're, the
Mike,
other
here's the
pond
thing.
is dirty and it's filthy and it hasn't been cleaned in a while.
Yeah,
We're
this is
jumping
new
in a fresh
dirt.
pond over here.
But here's the thing: we could use a maturity meter on this one, and I would say this is 18 plus because wasn't she in the adult industry at some point?
She was
All right,
very much
so
in the
this
adult
is
film industry.
using the TSR hobbies meter. This would be 18 plus, but we haven't registered for it, so we're not licensed to actually say such. So hypothetically, before we use such a meter, it would be an 18 plus story. We're sorry.
Yeah, she was if you Google her name, something might pop up that would not be safe for work. Let's just say. Let us
Yeah,
just say.
don't look for it on a work computer. Just kind of like on the side, you know.
But I will say one thing for her. I've always respected the fact that she turned it around. She's like, okay,
Yeah,
she didn't lie about it. Like, yeah, I did that, but that's not what I do now, and I'm gonna game. And if you want to game with me, that's great. So that they've made this whole reputation now about pushing their Kickstarter and about gaming and going to conventions and being special guests at cons. And so, yeah, this is not good for them. It's going to be interesting to see comes out. My interactions with him have always been fine. I've only said several words to both of them, but everybody that I know that's talked to him and met him has been, very complimentary about how they present themselves. So,
Once I didn't even know who Jameson was until I was like, oh, Luke is going to be forming a ceremony at Gary Con for Satine Phoenix and somebody named after a whiskey. Okay, well,
Jameson, delicious.
go figure. So listen, it's an abbreviated This Week in Gaming Stupid, but it is very topical and very current. Literally updated as we were doing this this live stream. So
Interesting. Well, because it started out little, just this one guy posted and said, "Hey, they did this," and you could have a lot of he said, she said, she said, whatever,
Yep.
But he did post screenshots, which made it
the
very interesting.
You could read. So you're not taking it out of context. It was somebody who felt that they were empowered talking to somebody that they were disempowering. Is that the best way I can put it? Without getting into details, look for it for yourself. Chad Elwood Rowe, you can look up on his feed, and Jason Azevedo has the latest response. So
interesting.
Yes.
Well, that's something we'll keep track of. Like I said, it's a nice little break from having to cover new TSR, which that's just, and that continues to crash and burn. And
yeah. We're not going
to
ignore it, but it's becoming less relevant as they get removed from social media.
It's just they're starting to slowly get pushed out of polite society, and so as that happens,
impolite society, Twitter is impolite society, Mike. Let's be honest. And Robert, the accusation is that the initial accusation is that Jameson was basically gaslighting and berating Chad Rowe. Chad is a tattoo artist that he hired, and berated him over a contract wording that he didn't like.
If you can find his post, he posts screenshots of the text they went back and forth, and it's pretty bad. I mean, he pretty much just tells Chad, "You're stupid. You're dumb. You're too. You just started out this business. That means you're an idiot. I'm a professional. I've been doing this forever. So trust me when I say this is the way you did things was just ridiculous. I mean, he really berates him, just breaks him down. Just over the top. It shouldn't have been that. It should not have been that much. It's just way too much. He should have said, "Look, I have a problem with this NDA or whatever it was, and I just don't want to use it, or we need to change it." But to go into the detail he goes into, he just beats the guy up emotionally. Was just you could tell it had an effect on him. If this is stuck in his craw that long, you can tell it definitely had an effect on him. But it was pretty ugly. It was pretty ugly stuff. So, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Now, this gives us something else to do this summer.
Oh, thank you for that.
Want to do this summer, then
peripherally, this is Wizards of the Coast stupidity because she used to work for Wizards of the Coast. So we've been lacking. We've been lacking Wizards of the Coast stupidity. Okay,
I know they've been so quiet lately. Gosh, it's like they're just happy that Lanasa took up all the slack for them. Like, you know what? We won this week in stupid so many times. We're going to give you the chance to win as much as you want, baby.
And now the dark horse comes in right as the show kicks off, and there we go. There we go. Limelight.
We didn't see this coming, man. We didn't see this one coming. So, I did not have money on Satine and Jameson at all. I had no money on that.
Listen, this could win the race. We'll see. We'll see how worse it gets to start the week because there's.
Look what happened to Kentucky Derby this year. That the horse came from way behind and just boom, won the whole thing.
And I didn't have any money on that. Only money I had was on the pool at the local pub, and it's just a straight up whichever horse wins, you win the pool. Yeah, and you're choosing a number. You're not choosing a horse's name. You're choosing the number. So. There you go.
That's crazy.
That way it's a pool. You're not actually gambling. It's random.
So to wrap up, everybody had a great time in North Texas. Guys, we can put another 100 people in there. We need another 100 people next year. So if you're thinking about going, talk to anybody that went. I didn't talk to one single person that didn't have one of the best times they ever had at a convention. I mean, seriously, it was just absolutely amazing this year. So yeah, definitely look into coming next year. We'd love to have you, man.
Yes. And listen, you come to North Texas, you have an opportunity to hang out with Tenkar, hang out with Bad Mike, maybe even Greg Gillespie. I don't know
Ooh.
if you want to, but you could.
He's
Canadian. You know, so you might want to watch out.
I have a good authority that Greg will be back next year from the Great White North, which would be awesome. He doesn't come every year because he is Canadian and they're locked down by Trudeau, who has decided to go full authoritarian mode and lock down the whole country for years at a time. So hopefully he can get out next year and escape the under the wire and crawl into America with, like, his camo on, his knife between his teeth, and
sneak across the border and then grab an airplane. There you go. All right.
I just had to. Oh, well, anyway, we had fun. It was great to see you, Eric, my pal. I don't get to see you that much anymore since we don't attend a lot of conventions together. But so that was fun. It was fun having you around for 4 or 5 days.
It was a lot of fun. Maybe next year we'll come down a day earlier. Our dog was having fun with my parents. We're putting her out in the backyard every day, so she thought it was like vacation. And our cat was hiding.
She's having a great time. Like, this is a party,
and our cat was hiding and hissing at people. But then apparently on Sunday she had like 3 hairballs, and then she started eating again and being seen. So it might not have been our absence that caused it. It could have been the hairballs. So
I heard when I got back that my cat hissed at my granddaughter for the first time ever when I was gone. So she missed me too. It was nice to know that I was missed by my cat as much as my wife and grandkids, which is great. So
there you
go. Yeah.
Oh, all right, folks.
Little cat humor there, folks, for everybody.
We always have cat humor. Always got to have some cats in part of the conversation. But folks, listen. The great thing about Texas is no mask mandate. All right.
Yeah.
And it was nice flying without having to have a mask on. I will be honest. And and Rachel and I are not like total I don't know skills. When we got back, Tuesday morning, I was like, all right, we got the test. Let's make sure. Because, hey, we were in an environment with close to 400 people. Let's just make sure. We're good. No vid. So, like I always say, I'm not your father. Neither is Mike. Use your common sense. Know your risk factors. Know where you're at. Other than that, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well. We'll be back again in a week. We are going to be kicking off a summer of special fucking guests.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even cover that, Eric. We talked to so many people who want to be on the show. So many people want to be on the show. We're going to be.
It is outrageous the number of people. So I'm going to be honest with you, folks. And this goes to anybody who's listening who we've talked to about being on the show. We are going to prioritize people who have Kickstarters within whatever time frame we can grab them in, because that's always important for people to get a little FaceTime, a little airtime. Kickstarters, we love them. We want creators to succeed. So don't feel upset if you want to be on the show and it's like, oh, well, I slid to July. You might slid to July because your Kickstarter's in July or whatever. All right, we work. The timing is has to be a little bit flexible so we can make all this work. Other than that, folks, be safe, be well, God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. Discord, 9 p.m. tomorrow Eastern. If you want to hang out with a bunch of geeks for an hour or two, we always have a good time. All right, folks.
What about Friday? What's Friday?
Friday is the random generated party. Myself,
random generated party. One of my favorite shows. I love that show.
Myself, Jill the lawyer, and some random members of our gaming group. You'll probably see Rob Conley. Rob is pretty regular at this point. And we'll see who else.
I've been known to force my way on the show sometimes.
Oh my God. Mike's like, this is my topic. Let me in. My Facebook notifications going off crazy. And he's sober. And it's not like Mike has been drinking. He's sober when he does that. I'd understand it if he was drunk. All right, folks.
Later, everyone. Later.
Laters.